So, good morning, good afternoon to all. Welcome to TaurusQuest series of webinar that we are doing in the last 3 to 4 months. And today, the topic is the business community webinar. And we have Christoph Bothama, the managing director of Colbee Accountants from South Africa, who will be presenting the webinar today. And this webinar would be focusing on the government support and how business can thrive in the current economic climate. So this will be the topics for today. And as the agenda would be, it will be introduction on who we are, what we do, the update on government support, how business can thrive in the current economic climate, and then we will give you an idea of how outsourcing can be a competitive advantage, and then at the end, we'll be answering your questions. So I'll hand over the call to our CEO, Krish, who would give us a brief on TaurusQuest and how we are helping our clients in outsourcing. Yeah, Krish.
Yeah, thanks Ganesh. Thank you very much, and thank you all for joining in for this presentation. And just to give you a brief introduction about, can we go to the next slide, Ganesh, about TaurusQuest? Yeah. So some of you who already know about us, we are in the business of providing support services in areas of predominantly in accounting, to a certain extent in legal and publishing. And we are based out of Chennai in India, the southern part of India. And we have been in this business for about 15 years now. In fact, we have completed the 15th year as well. So we are process management people in the sense that we try to break down several processes into smaller processes, be it accounting, financial management, management accounting, year-end accounts, filing of returns, tax returns. All these processes we have gained a lot of expertise, so much so that we are in a position to serve about 12,000 clients. When I say 12,000 clients, it includes both B2B as well as B2C. That means if we have B2B clients, that we can always, for those clients who have clients in turn, we include that in this number. And and then we also have services provided in terms of the 500 employees, 500 employees providing these services who are in a position to support in all these areas. And we are certified for ISO TUV 9001 for quality and ISO 27001 for information and security practices. And as you can see, we provide these services across all these countries in different parts of the world, starting from, of course, US, UK, South Africa, and Singapore, Australia, and so on. So this is our brief background. And as Ganesh said, I had, as Chief Operating Officer, I had the total operations, business development, and service delivery. This is a brief semantic representation of how we do things. We have several partners. Some are silver, some are gold, where we work with them closely in terms of software, in terms of how we generate the information and get the information for our clients. And then we provide services broken down in terms of key activities. So in this, we are in a position to use certain advanced techniques in the service delivery area. For instance, we have job management systems. We use to a certain extent RPA and even artificial intelligence, so to speak, in all these areas of tax and business and industries. So with this, we have developed a team of people who are specialists in their respective areas of services. If it's in accounting, for instance, specialists in providing Sage or in providing QBO, again, in terms of monthly accounts or bookkeeping or final accounts presentation. So our value proposition mainly comes in terms of both cost advantage, where we are in a position to save cost for our clients, and also in terms of turnaround time and probably a very high quality of output that we can provide. So we do provide services to several clients, customers across the world, as I said, and again in terms of B2B and B2C clients. So we have working with several partners in this direction, both in terms of uh, meeting the day-to-day bookkeeping or accounting requirements, as well as any special efforts required, like what we are in now, a COVID situation or something like that. So this is the kind of background, and with this, I would give it back to Ganesh to carry on without taking too much of your time. And I'm sorry a little bit. We are behind schedule by about 3 minutes. Really sorry about that.
Yeah,
Ganesh.
Krish, so if you can go to the client call if you want, Krish, I will handle this. Yeah.
No, that's okay. Yeah,
Okay. Then.
thanks.
And
Thanks. Yeah.
yeah, and I will hand over the call to Chris, who is a presenter and is a managing director of Colbee Associates. And we have got Lizelle joining us right now. Hey, Lizelle, how are you? Yeah, Chris, I am making you the host. You can go ahead and share your screen and start the presentation, Chris.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just get this up and running. You guys see the screen?
Yeah, but not at the maximize. So you can see everybody. I can go ahead, Chris.
Say again.
Could you maximize the screen? Make it a bit bigger.
Okay, maybe I shared the wrong screen. Let's just have a look.
Yeah.
No, it was the right screen. Let's swap them around.
Yeah.
Better?
Now it's better. Yeah, Chris. Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. And thanks for the opportunity, Taurus.
Thank you,
Just
Chris.
a little bit of background about me. I'm a registered accountant based in sunny Cape Town. I'm registered with SEMA Global and also with South African Institute of Professional Accountants. I have 20 years, actually more than 20 years experience in the industry. I'm getting a little bit old. Our practice in Cape Town focuses on the needs of SME. So my presentation, I've tailored a little bit towards that. But yeah, let's keep it short and sweet. So we want to touch on some government support that's available for small businesses. Yeah, so each country has been touched by this COVID pandemic. And there's no country that can say they're not affected, or any industry that's not affected. It's all of them. The big thing is we need to gear ourselves towards being more sustainable, and that is of utmost importance going forward. So just examples of what certain countries have actually put aside in terms of budgets to get small businesses loans to carry themselves through this period. I just pulled three countries aside, and the United Kingdom, for instance, has put aside £330 billion for loans. US in turn has done $380 billion US. Canada has done 212, and South Africa has now put aside 500 billion rand in order to help small businesses obtain loans to carry themselves through this difficult period. There are other support structures in place as well, not just loans, and all the countries that I've looked at has actually responded in more or less the same manner. And the big emphasis is on job and securing jobs for not employees, but residents. So in South Africa, we've put aside, and we've got a fund called TAURUS, and employees in essence can claim anything from 30 to 60% of their salaries from this fund. The UK in turn has got Corona Job Retention Scheme, and employees can claim up to 80%. Canada has got their fund, and yeah, you can claim up to 75%. So a big emphasis on job security. Then in terms of loans, like I mentioned, the countries, South Africa's got 500 billion, and these loans are normally, are in essence backed by government to help small businesses. And this is just to carry the overheads during this period of time. So you do a drawdown of your expenses, and you in turn then have to repay these loans at a later stage. So the emphasis here is these are loans. So each client that I've consulted with and actually spoke to is, they must be very clear on that matter. It's a loan. It's not money for jam. You will have to repay this fund at some point in time. So your business, again, must be a sustainable business in order to take out these loans. Now, the UK has done something similar. They've got 3 loan schemes. And again, the emphasis is on small businesses. You'll see they've got the Bounce Bank scheme, which small businesses can loan up to anything from 0 to £50,000. Then there's a small business interruption loan scheme that small business can do, and again, larger businesses can borrow for anything from 5 to 300 million pounds. Now, the larger businesses, the government only backs 80% of that, so the business must still come up with the other 20%. Canada has done something similar to the UK. They've got smaller loans up to 40,000 that you can do an emergency business account. Then again, I actually want to mention something. They've also put aside for larger employer emergency finance facility. Again, emphasis on getting job securities and reducing the amount of jobs lost. Then also the tax relief. So in South Africa, the filing season has actually been postponed. There's, you can partially postpone some of your payments to SARS as well. For instance, provisional tax, which is now due next month, you only pay a portion of what you would normally pay. The UK has done the same. They've actually deferred the VAT payments and their self-assessment payments up until the end of this year. Canada's done something similar. They've postponed their sales tax up to end of June. I think, if I'm speaking under correction, they've actually extended that period as well. So again, tax relief to get smaller businesses through this difficult period. Now, whenever I speak to anybody, whether it's in South Africa or abroad, the biggest challenge is actually accessing these funds. And when I speak to people, the concern is that smaller businesses don't have their affairs in order. And when submitting documentation, they haven't got all the documentation in order. So all the clients that we've seen and we've advised is they must have the house in order. So documentation must be there. You must have a paper trail for everything. So yeah, and then the other concern from our point of view is when we deal with any of these funds is that there's a lot of red tape. And that is also a big concern because small businesses really need these funds, but there's a lot of red tape. And if I look at the percentage of loans actually extended in South Africa, it's very small in comparison to what we would have expected. So yeah, which makes it also very difficult. So that's just in brief of what kind of support you can receive from government. This is not an extensive list. There's a whole lot more involved, but that's in broad terms, obtaining loans. I know certain industries you can get grants at this point in time. So that list is definitely not extensive. Now to look at, if anybody has a question or a comment that they might want to add?
Chris, we can have that at the end, Chris. We can finish the webinar. I can have it at the end. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. So then thriving in this time. So now I know it's difficult and thriving is probably not the best word to use here, but yeah, I think business can still do well in this period of time. So just on board small businesses, if you look at the makeup of all the economies across the world, small businesses make up anything from 60 to 80% of the economy. And that being said, they employ between 60 and 80% of people in economies. Yet small businesses are affected the most during this period of time. Purely for obvious reasons. I mean, small businesses tend to not have the capital backing and everything in place that bigger corporates would have. That being said, an estimated 60% of small businesses will not make this pandemic, and that's scary. Now, the fact that big name brands like Victoria's Secret and Starbucks, I'm sure you guys have read the articles, are struggling at this point in time, is a big wake-up call for me. Now, the steps we go through with our clients in terms of getting them, I wouldn't say COVID ready, but to help them carry themselves through this period of time is, first of all, scrutinize your company expenses. Identify the expenses you can reduce or postpone. Then maybe apply for payment holidays just to extend your cash. Then identify non-avoidable essential expenses that might be popping up in the near future, and try and negotiate on those, or arrange your other affairs to make sure you can meet those deadlines or those commitments. Then revenue. Now, expenses is probably the easiest because you have a paper trail and you have a history of what you've done and what you need to pay. Revenue is normally the concerning part in a smaller business. Just look at your income stream and then maybe identify income streams that you could possibly add to your current income streams. And a big thing now is I think if you're not looking at online at all, or not getting to the point where you're actually online and you're actually doing something online, you are missing a big opportunity. So when you've looked at both those, you need to look at your profitability. So if your business, after you've investigated that, is not profitable, you can't add another income stream, or you can't reduce your expenses, you need to have a completely different discussion, because then it's the writing's on the wall, and you need to make that call sooner rather than later, because it only becomes more expensive doing it later. Also, I'm just going to emphasize this. We advise clients, if your business if it doesn't look like it's sustainable in the near future, do not apply for funding, because you can only burn your fingers. Also, they are currently very strict with extending those loans. So you're probably going to find you're going to go through the whole exercise of applying for finance and for facilities, and you will be declined still. And that will help you in no way, shape, or form. Then the big thing, the previous slide and the exercise you go in the previous slide is in essence to manage your cash flow. So at this point in time, it's all about cash flow. I mean, cash flow in business is king now more so than ever. You need to manage cash flow all the time. And for me, the bigger thing is you need to be mindful what you're spending it on, and more importantly, where you're spending it. Now that leads me to my next point, community. For me, we've sat back and we've identified where we're spending our money and where we could potentially change that spending pattern to help businesses around us. Now, we are all part of a community, and we need to understand whether your community is local, your neighbor, or if you trade cross borders, you have a community that you are part of. So you need to investigate what that community is and see where you can spend mindfully, if that makes sense. So try and make business around you sustainable. And what we find is if we make business around us sustainable, your business in turn becomes sustainable. So I just want to emphasize that for me, that's very important. The community you're in, and you need to make sure that your counterparts succeed as well, because if your counterparts don't succeed, you won't succeed. Then the next most important thing for me is, and again, all our clients, we give them this advice. At this point in time, you need to communicate. Whether it's with your staff, customers, suppliers, your advisors, which accountants is part of that, competitors, even your peers. This is the time where you have to communicate with all those role players. And by communicating, you can identify whether it's in your industry or someone else's industry, what they're doing that's working, or even more negatively, what's not working. And you can, in essence, then embrace that, or you can avoid it. But discussing things with other counterparts in your industry, you can in essence learn something and make your business again sustainable. And then you have to readjust. Like I said, you need to embrace it. You need to take it on board. You have to either change your systems, change your business model, and make it work. Now, I'm going to mention Starbucks again here. Starbucks has indicated that they're actually closing 400 of their stores. And also, they've earmarked 600 sites and they're only going to do 300 of that going forward. So if Starbucks can readjust, which is a fairly big organization, I think us as small businesses and our client base as our small business should readjust as well. Very important. And I've had various discussions with clients as well. You're not alone. And by isolating yourself, you're not doing anybody any favors. At this point in time, also, mental health is a concern. And by isolating yourself, you're not going to help yourself getting out of your current situation. So the best thing, again, is talking to people. Talk to people in your circle. If you have to phone up your accountant. It's sad if you have to phone up your accountant to have a personal discussion. But if you have to, then that's what you need to do. And look after yourself, because you have to look after yourself before you can look after your business as well. And that's in a nutshell what I have to offer tonight. Short and sweet.
Yeah, Chris. Thanks for that. Thanks for the webinar. Some useful points over there. Chris, would you like to add something on this? Hello. Hey, Chris. Okay. Actually, we had a suggestion from.
No, I'm okay. I've joined back. Sorry,
Okay.
Ganesh. Yeah, so in fact, I would like to leave the floor open to the participants to have a discussion, so that that will give them more time in terms of any questions which they might like to ask. And
Mark, you can go ahead with your query or suggestion, Mark, regarding SaaS.
Okay, I just had a quick question. I had some exposure today to provisional tax statement of account where clients have taken advantage of this COVID relief in terms of the provisional tax rules. And I see SARS systems appear not to have taken anything or haven't been updated to take anything into consideration. I see penalties. I see the tax clearance statements of account or clearances are not clear because of this provisional tax return that has been taken advantage of. And I just wanted to find out if anybody else has had any exposure to that.
I actually haven't experienced that yet, but my gut feel, as per normal, SARS is playing catch up. So the actual provisional tax filing season only starts basically next week. So you probably find
you must remember we've got junior ends. You've got companies with junior ends. So junior ends have already been done and taken advantage of. July year ends have been taken advantage of.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. My experience is that SARS always plays catch up in this scenario. So you'll have to query that, unfortunately, but I haven't had that experience yet.
Okay, well, good luck. It's coming.
I know.
Nightmare. Little nightmare after little nightmare after little nightmare. It's crazy.
What we find is, and it wasn't provisional tax. We find with EMP 201s and using that advantage. The first return we submitted for that also had this at the same scenario where they've levied penalties on that short payment of the pay-as-you-earn. They have subsequently fixed it, but the return when we initially went in, we had the same problem.
Yeah, we also had issues with the EMP 201s, but I mean that was relatively quickly remedied. But yeah, this provisional tax is proving an issue, especially when you've got clients that are on tender, and I said tender, not Tinder, that are looking for clearances and to make sure that their clearance stuff is up to date. And I mean, SARS is now just creating an issue because, I mean, that June is now the whole way, halfway through June and the whole of July, they haven't rectified the issue.
Yeah. And also I found, I don't know if you've had any, a little bit slightly off topic here, but I don't know if you've had SARS appointments. I know the other day I almost pulled my hair out because they would only deal with one case at a time. So even if you had a client that you had 3 or 4 issues to deal with, they would only deal with one particular issue at the time, and you had to almost fall back in the line if you had a separate issue. So going into the office is also going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, I went in towards the end of May. Actually, quite funny enough, it was the same client. And yeah, I didn't really have too many issues, but then again, there was only the one client with, it did have 2 queries on it, but they were similarly related because of a year-end change.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's difficult times. I did hear them saying that they were talking about the possibility of a lot of them working from home, and that they're trying to eliminate the going to the branch, which is, as we all know, as accountants in this field that we're in, that's impossible. There's no ways that you can deal with that. Because you have to deal with somebody there. And the problem is that those people at the forefront are just that. They are paper receivers, and they're actually not, they actually can't fix anything. So that to me might be a way forward. And some of the things that they've introduced over the last couple of weeks, months, whatever you want to call it, in terms of trying to remedy not going in, has actually helped, where we don't have to go in anymore.
Yeah, but there's certain cases I agree with you. You unfortunately have to go in because they almost not force you, but you have to submit certain documentation over the counter, and that's where the problem comes in. Like with this in this scenario, so if you phone in now, they won't be able to help you. How do you remedy this? You have to go and sit there and see someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I feel for you. Sorry, my nightmare starting next week. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Liba, could you just give us a brief on how the situation in Canada and how people are dealing with it?
Well, how you know that Canada is start opening, right? And sadly, businesses have problem getting people back to work. I don't know if you know, but everyone was able to get $2,000 a month staying home. Now, if you have a lower pay job, well, you know what? Why would you go to work when you get free $2,000 sitting at home? That means right now there is problem that the businesses can open and they don't have employee who wants to come back until basically the last payment of 2,000 running out in September. Then they will see the employees coming back. But right now, the restaurants who opening, the small shops they opening, they don't have people who will serve clients. No one. It's sad to say, but there is lots of people who don't want to work because they getting $2,000, and you know what? Let's be home. And that's right now the biggest issue for my clients, get people back to work. That means just that's some rant on my part from Canada. Yeah.
I understand that, Liba. Thanks for that. And Rasa, do you have anything to add on? Rasa, Daniel, Rizal. Do you have anything to add on? And Sean, do you have any queries or do you want something to add on, guys? I think people are done with their queries, I guess. So, Krish, do you want to add something, Krish?
Ganesh, thanks for that. And Yeah, it's been very interesting, and the presentation was pretty good, talking through details. In fact, like some of you may know, we are doing it in along with other clients, and literally the problems are the same across different countries in the world. The challenges are the same for both for business in terms of how to start up their business or getting their people back, like Liba said, or even for that matter, how to get the funding in place from the government. Like, of course, in countries like UK and even US for that matter, there are very clearly laid out policies in terms of how we can uh, get the support. But in other countries, that's where it's still being evolved. These challenges would continue to remain. But like rightly said, we have to keep our feet in place. We have to make sure that we continue, keep running to stay in the place, and then make sure that our clients are happy, give them top class service, give them good advice in terms of whether working capital management or cash management, how to save them, very timely kind of accounting information, making sure that all entries are properly booked for, accounted, and they have a top class information without something being missed out here and there. So that said, we are always there to support any one of you in terms of providing this kind of support because of our experience working with different countries, different clients, understanding their requirements and fine tuning the systems to meet these challenges. So that's the one lead comment I would like to add in here. Thanks, Ganesh.
Yeah, Chris. Actually, Ricardo has just joined in. Ricardo, do you have anything to add on or?
Good afternoon. Sorry.
No issues, Ricardo.
End of the month, closure and all that.
Understand.
Actually, I don't have anything to add at this stage.
Okay.
Yeah. So good. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Chris, I think we're done for the webinar. I would like to thank you for the time that you gave us hosting the webinar. And we are in talks with 2 UK firms and Australia firms for hosting the webinar. Then following weeks, we will let you know on the same. I will either send you a message in WhatsApp or reach you in LinkedIn regarding the same. And thanks everyone for joining in. We look forward in hearing from you again. Chris?
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for your time and thanks for the opportunity again.
Thank you, Chris. We again, this is the first webinar together. We will do something in the next month also, Chris. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you,
Thank
Leva.
you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Ciao,
Thanks,
ciao.
Shas.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ricardo. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lizelle. Thanks for joining in. And thank you, Daniel.